Hi, everybody. Jason here with Safest Family on the Block. During the weeks that I recorded season one, I was also reading deeply on the topic from whatever books people would recommend to me or had come my way in one way or another. Books about protecting our families from threats in our sometimes scary world. Now, some of these books, they're by people who have agreed to come on to season two, which is exciting as heck. Other people I wish would come on, but I haven't gotten them yet. So I wanted to take some time today and share with you some of the information I learned from these authors because they couldn't come on the show and talk to us during the first season. Now, during the time that I recorded and released season one, I read 101 Deadly Skills by Clint Emerson, Rory Miller's Conflict Communication, How to Be Your Own Bodyguard by Nick Hughes. I also read Home Security by Andy Murphy, the Secure Dad, and 28 Home Security Solutions by Damian Brindle. Both of them aren't pictured here because they are ebooks. I read Jocko Willnick's and Leif Bevan's Extreme Ownership. Read Left of Bang by Patrick Van Horne et al. I don't have that with me because I loaned it to someone who hasn't returned it. You know who you are. And finally, I went through Alone and Unafraid by Jason Hanson. Now, later on in this channel, you're actually going to see specific in-depth reviews of each of those books, hopefully with some good informative snippets for you. And today, though, I want to talk about the top 10 things I learned from all of this reading. Now, for the record, Rory and Andy are coming in for season two, and we've got Jason Hanson, who has agreed to come on for season three. So you'll see more about those guys in episodes to come. But for now, let's talk about the top 10 takeaways from my season one reading. Number 10 is the concept of baseline. Now, I put this at number 10, even though it's very important, because it's not something I really learned from these books. I'd already understood the basic concept, which is how changes in behavior and tone and situation, they're more important than the actual behaviors and tones and situations themselves. I hadn't heard the term baseline to describe that, though, and I found it in both Left of Bang and Be Your Own Bodyguard. Now, whether you're talking about which vehicles are in your neighborhood, or the sound your fuse box makes, or your teen's communication with you at the dinner table, or the crowd in a market while you're traveling internationally, you want to watch for that baseline and then respond to how it changes. Understand what normal is and pay special attention to anything that's not normal. That's the best, easiest warning system that you have for you to take action. And the earlier we take action, the more options we have and the safer our families are. Number 9. The importance of self-care. Extreme Ownership underscored the importance of self-care, but here I don't mean self-care the way that your whiny cousin says it, because that kind of self-care is really just an excuse to shirk responsibility when you're not feeling like living up to the promises you've made the people you care about and for whom you're responsible. That kind of self-care is the opposite of having the safest family on the block, because you're not doing the things that you need to keep things safe. Now, instead, Jocko and Leif, they go into detail on the importance of making time to keep ourselves sharp, to care for ourselves, and to hone ourselves as a tool for our families. Taking time to work out, to learn safety skills, to eat well, to meditate or pray, and to get enough sleep and enough time with our adult friends, the things that keep us at the top of our game so that we are better able to care for and care about and show love for our families. And we should never do these things instead of taking care of our responsibilities, but instead find ways to do it in addition to or alongside what we do for our families, because we need to stay sharp and strong and smart and ready. And there's really only one way to make sure that happens. Number 8, landscaping for security. Both Secure Dad and 28 Solutions, along with my interviews with John Riddle and Linda Sanderson, they all mentioned landscaping as a line of defense. Now, by removing places the bad guys can hide and installing strategic lighting and well-placed camera, keeping our yards nice but not too nice, we discourage the bad guys from even coming onto our property. It's the property equivalent of having an alert and confident presentation to the world, having that body language that serves as a deterrent in and of itself. Now, but my favorite trick, and it was mentioned in both of those books, was to use gravel for the walkways in our yards. Now, you've noticed that it's impossible to walk quietly on gravel. And the bad guys have noticed this too. It's a very cheap and easy early warning system you can install in a weekend to make your house much safer. Number 7, trade in small screws for your big kid screws. You know how when you buy a new car, suddenly you see that model everywhere, or you learn a new thing, and that same week it's on 2 TV shows and 3 conversations you didn't start? Well, I first heard about this trick in a video related to the 100 Deadly Skills author, Clint Emerson. And afterward, I found it in Secure Dad, I found it in 28 Solutions, it was mentioned in my interview with John Riddle. I apparently didn't get this memo until just recently, but it's a fantastic, easy tip. It's quick, it's simple, it's important. Now, you know how your door connects to its jamb and the wall of your house by a hasp? Now, how firmly that hasp is attached to the jamb and the wall is how secure your door is. You can have a solid metal door, but if it's only attached to the jamb, to that hasp, with weak hardware, then the door itself isn't very secure. Now, standard hasp screws, they're only a half an inch long, and you can replace them with 2-inch to 4-inch screws in about 10 minutes and for $2 in parts. Seriously, go do that right now. I'll wait. Number 6, scripts exist and they can change your life. Conflict Communication was written by a guy who spent his whole career in corrections, convincing stubborn bad guys with little to lose and less motivation to comply to do it the easy way instead of the hard way. In Rory's book, he explains the concept of scripts. These are patterns of communication that govern most of how we talk, how we move, and how we act when we're not paying attention. About half of the book also describes how to use those scripts to get uncooperative people to do what you need them to do. And that's good tactical information and can, in fact, save our lives if we end up in a sketchy situation out in the world, either alone or with our kids. But the other half of the book was even more helpful, with advice on how to identify our own scripts and then turn them sideways so we can talk, move, and act in the most effective and helpful ways possible. Applied to communication with our kids and with our partners, it can be life-changing. Number 5, Mylar blankets are magic. I did not know about the MacGyver factor for Mylar blankets until my interview with Steve Mullins on building a first aid kit. But even his advice didn't go as deep as that particular rabbit hole can. For those of you who don't know, Mylar blankets, they're those thin, reflective sheets you get in almost every pre-made survival kit. They were first invented for NASA, but now they're everywhere. They cost a couple of bucks, and they can literally save your life in dozens of situations. Now, Alone and Unafraid went above and beyond with this, offering an almost comically long list of uses for the things. And seriously, I'm a convert now. Mylar blankets are the new Swiss Army knife. I've started buying them in bulk. You can too. They're simply awesome. Hey, everybody, here at halftime, I wanted to take a moment to remind you to hit the subscribe button or to just hit a like, comment down below, share us with your friends. All those little things, they're a small piece of time for you, but they make a big difference for me. So please do, if you love what you see here, take a moment to support us in any way you can. Thank you so much. Now, on with the show. Number 4, tech is cheap and reliable. If you're old enough to be a parent now, you're probably old enough to remember when security technology was outrageously expensive and only businesses and governments could afford it. Now, according to Secure Dad and 28 Solutions, a simple camera and or alarm service is now well within the financial range of most families. Now, if you don't mind spending a little extra, Alone and Unafraid and 100 Deadly Skills and Be Your Own Bodyguard, they all offered up tech and gear solutions that cost a bit more but contribute a lot to your family's safety. Now, some of it's a little specialized, and honestly, both Alone and Unafraid and 100 Deadly Skills, they spend a little too much time selling things the author himself invented. That doesn't take away from the value of the book, but it is a bit of a caveat when I recommend those 2 tomes. But if you're looking for advice about something you want to buy anyway, they're really strong resources. And that tech is available, and it is affordable. Number 3, the ubiquity of nonviolent, non-criminal threats. As security-minded parents, we often focus too much on crime and violence. It happens, yes, and it's unbelievably tragic when it does happen. But it's far less common than injury and death from simple accidents or inattention or forgetfulness. The bottom line here is, take your Krav Maga class, yes, but also take a basic first aid class. Don't buy a gun without buying a trauma kit. Install and train with your fire extinguishers, along with putting in a burglar alarm. The statistics are on the sides of the families who prioritize risk this way, not the ones constantly on the lookout for bad guys who forget the more homegrown problems. Almost every book I read this season underscored the importance of this in one way or another. Number 2, move your rally room. This comes from Alone and Unafraid in particular, with some great assisted tales from Secure Dad, Be Your Own Bodyguard, and 28 Powerful Home Security Solutions. Your rally room is where your family meets in an emergency that doesn't force you to leave the house. like a natural disaster or maybe a home invasion. It should have a locking door, a landline phone, a cell phone, and some basic survival supplies like a first aid kit, an emergency blanket, and some water. Most families don't have one set up, and almost all families that do have it set up put it in the master bedroom. And that's the big mistake, according to Mr. Hanson. He tells us, sensibly enough, that your rally room should be the bedroom of the least mobile person in your home. That's usually the smallest child or the oldest elder, because that's where you should go. Most parents will go to the child's room and then get them and take them to the rally room. But you can cut out and save valuable minutes by simply having those security things in place in your child's room. You need to be careful with storage and whatnot, but that small change can make a huge difference in the unlikely event of a serious emergency in the house. Number 1, you have to plan and practice the plan. Secure Dad, be your own bodyguard. They bring this home in a big way. And alert friends will notice how many of our season 1 guests brought this up in one way or another as well. Us under stress, let alone our kids under stress, we aren't as smart as us sitting reflectively and thinking through a problem. That's why we need to meet stress with a plan that's already hatched, with the tools already prepared, so we can skip the, oh my heavens, whatever shall we do stage, and get right after it to keep our families safe. Now, it's not enough to make the plan, though. Maybe talk it over once at family dinner. We need to practice our plans regularly so they're automatic enough to perform under pressure. You don't become a black belt by breaking a board once. You do it by repeating motions until they're automatic, even subconscious. And we should practice our emergency plans with our family until everybody knows how to do their part, so that the family and the house work as a well-oiled machine in response to danger. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. And like I said, check our channel for in-depth looks at these books if they intrigue you at all. If you love what you saw here, please give us a like and a subscribe. It makes a huge difference. And if you want to tell your friends, please spread the word. Also, if you can get Jocko on the phone, I really want him on the show.